Chapter 8. Opening the door. The old woman knocks on the door. Georges, what are you doing? Everyone waited anxiously, but the old man didn't answer. There's no noise at all coming from inside. Georges, the old woman said as calmly as she could, please unlock the door. She knocked again, but still he didn't answer. Suddenly, there came a crash that was so loud they all felt in their bones. Everyone jumped and ran to the bedroom door. It sounded as if the door of the Armoire was being ripped off its hinges, or the dresser was being overturned, or worse, the old man had fallen and smashed his head. There was another moment of silence, but then they heard footsteps crashing back and forth across the room, and words they couldn't understand. The old woman threw herself against the door. Georges! Georges! I'm sorry. Please let us in. Everyone continued to hear terrible sounds. Things being dragged across the room, banging and hammering, low guttural noises, interspersed by periods of quiet. The children were terrified, and Isabelle's godmother was sobbing. Etienne and Monsieur Tabard tried forcing the door open, but wouldn't budge. The noise grew louder and more terrifying. All of them tried to push against the door, but it was no use. Finally, Hugo remembered. Isabelle picked the lock. Here's a picture of Isabelle picking the lock. Here's another picture of Isabelle picking the lock. Here's a picture of the door opening. They pushed the door open and the five of them stood there, expecting to see a huge mess, ripped up drawings, chaos. But that's not what they saw at all. The bed had been pushed to the side. Georges Méliès was sitting at a desk that he had dragged to the center of the room, a pen poised in his hand as though he were a giant version of the automaton. Hugo could see the automaton's drawing on the desk. The old man had broken off the armoire doors to get his old drawings, and now they completed cover the floor, radiating from the floor of the desk, creeping up over the bed and across the walls, where they had been tacking all the way up to the ceiling. The curtains were drawn shut and the projector was sitting on one of the bedside tables that had been pulled over so it faced him from the doorway. From the projector, the film flickered across the entire wall. Images of the moon and rocket and the explorers shimmered across the old man's face and onto the sea of his beautiful drawing, tacked to the wall behind him. My parents were shoemakers. Did you know that? He asked as he tucked towards Hugo and Isabelle. They wanted me to work in their factory, but I hated shoes. The only thing I liked about it was the machinery. I taught myself how to fix the machines, and I dreamed about getting away and becoming a magician. So when I was finally old enough, I sold my share of the factory and bought a magic theater. My wife was my assistant. We were very happy. I had a special workroom in the back where I built my automaton, and my audiences loved him. Then the Lumiere brothers invented the movies. I immediately fell in love with their invention, and I asked them to sell me a camera. The Lumiere brothers refused my request, so I was forced to build my own, which I did out that I wasn't the only magician to turn to cinema. Many of us recognized that a new kind of magic had been invented, and we wanted to be a part of it. My beautiful wife became my muse, my star. I made hundreds of movies, and we thought it would never end. How could it? But the war came, and afterward, there was too much competition, and everything was lost. I hated telling all my employees that I couldn't support them anymore, and just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, two of my dearest friends, a young cameraman and his wife, were killed in a terrible car accident. But their baby daughter survived. Me? Said Isabel. You. My father made movies with you? Your father was a cameraman on my last several movies. Your mother was a teacher at a local school, and I loved them very much. After they died, you came to live with us. You were the only bright spot in a very dark world. I made my wife promise she would never talk about my movies again. I shut the door on my past. I burned my old sets and costumes. I was forced to sell my movies to a company that melted them down and turned them into shoe heels. With the money I made from the sale of my films, I bought the toy booth, where I've been trapped ever since, listening to the sounds of shoe heels clicking against the floor, the sound of my films disappearing forever into the dust. I was haunted by those ghosts for so many years. The only thing I couldn't bring myself to destroy was the automaton, which I donated to the local museum, but they never put it on display. And then the museum itself burned. The only thing left was the extra key I had made for my wife as an anniversary present long ago, and even that disappeared eventually. I thought the automaton was gone forever, but I was wrong. Miraculously, it survived. Tell me, where is it now? I have it at the train station, said Hugo. What is it doing at the train station? That's a very long story, said Hugo. Bring it to me. Yes, sir, Hugo said. I'll bring it right back.
If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.